Uh, my parents owned that house since the 60s, and I retired from Phoenix, moved here in 2016, and turned an empty yard into gardens. And then this house burned down, I think in 2016. And so I purchased this lot and turned it into an orchard. So this is a hazelnut, and it grows as a bush. And so I did prune it out so it wouldn't be so thick, but it will be giving nuts soon. You can see all the catkins on it. So, and then this is just a chase tree, not just a chase tree. This is very important medicinal bush here. It can grow really large, and it's wonderful medicine for women. And I am an herbalist, so I do have a lot of herbal type. I wanted to show you one thing if you get a chance. The rabbits know what medicine is, and you can see here where the rabbits have come and they're eating the bark, because animals are instinctively know where their medicine is, and they go directly to those plants. I have a lot of rabbits, maybe some squirrels too. This is blue sage back here against the wall. It's not medicinal. I just had some left over. I think I'm going to plant some L-campaign, which is a herb, grows really tall. So, and it gets a lot of sun here. Over here, on this side, I have elderberries that did not do very well this year because we had a drought. And I do not have a watering system in this area. So I thought that this one was dead, but I left it alone and it's starting to sprout out. So lucky me. Hopefully this one will come back too. And then I have all the other elderberries here. This is a crabapple. It's planted in a bad place over the wires. So I had James Spicer come out this morning before he went to Katie's, and he suggested that I cut this limb off and let the rest of the tree go, and then this will become the leader. This one, the big one, will become the leader. So just didn't pay attention when we planted it because it was just this tall. So, all right, this way. These are lilac bushes. They're just for early spring beauty, but I make lilac honey, which is wonderful on your toast or your oatmeal. They need to be cut about the 3rd year of growth by a third, 4th year. I cut them this year when they bloom. After they bloom, I'll cut that like a third. These are elderberries here, which I have not started to prune yet, so you can see the difference in what I pruned and what I didn't prune. This is a native red bud that was given to me when we moved here, crabapple. This is just a hodgepodge of, I have some herbs and just different things here. So this is the blueberry cage. I get a lot of harvest from here. Blueberry cage? Yeah. So I'm not going to let you go in because it compacts the soil. But I do get enough blueberries to share with my community and friends. And I eat off of them all year. I still have plenty left. It won't be long before they'll be coming on. So then over here I have early aster, blooms early in the season. Strawberries, echinacea, comfrey. Doesn't look like much now, but this is huge. I make comfrey fertilizer tea. I make salves, use it in all kinds of things, herbally. Asters, just a hodgepodge of different natives. And you can see that spring is here. All the plants are coming up. I'm just not going to chop them down until probably mid-March to give the insects and the bees a chance to do their thing. Here I have garlic and onions. They were healed in pretty deep because we had that below 20 temperature. So I just recently kind of uncovered them a little bit because it's spring. So we're ready to go. So if you could be mindful of where you step, I have irrigation above ground, and it doesn't take much to bust it. So more blueberries. You can't tell I like blueberries. So this year I'll cover the first row with netting because they're starting to get a lot of berries. These rows I'm going to leave for the birds and the rabbits and the squirrels, whoever wants them. So here's just kind of a holding area with my leaves, compost, potato boxes, asparagus, and I just let whatever wants to come up here. Last year, cantaloupes came up. It's kind of a place where I just throw seeds, and it has irrigation, so I had cantaloupes coming out of my ears. And I've got peppermint and spearmint in the boxes to control it so it doesn't get out of hand. There's really not much maintenance. It's amazing. Careful here. So against the fence here, over on that side, are blackberries. They're freedom blackberries, so they do not have thorns. It's not time to trim those up yet. And the neighbors know that they can just come and get what they want. The ones against the street, which are over there, you would be amazed how many people come by and just take what they want, and that's what they're there for. And I have a lot of homeless that come down through this area, and they're welcome to them. Anything hanging over they can have, it's fine with me. So I have a row of apple, and this is apple, peach, there's a cherry, pear there in the middle, a small one, peach, pear, peach, cherry. Those are all peaches on that side except that one back there, which is a pear. And I do have a fungus on their borers. And I've got 2 peach trees that they're after, and I'm probably going to lose one. But I know what to do to get rid of them. And so I'm going to have a big job getting window screen around the trunks of all my trees to keep the borers out, because evidently I've got a bunch of them. So if you want to turn back around, I'm not sure. You know, I kept all that stuff for years, and then I'm just like, I don't have time for this. I got to get out there and do stuff. So somewhere in a box, I probably do have all of them, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Yeah. So just be mindful where you step for the irrigation. These are, I put potatoes in them.
Oh, okay.
And they do pretty good. These are old bee boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do have 2 pallets here that I had hives on last year. This year I'm going to move them right into the orchard. Yeah. And the bees and I get along fine. I've never been stung except for when I mowed. They do not like that mower.
They don't like perfume or cologne either.
No, there are just a few.
I've been over mine, I put aftershave on, and they like to kill me.
Yes, yes. So does anybody have any questions before we? Yeah.
How'd you amend the beds for the blueberries?
Well, she wants to know how I amended the beds for the blueberries. The soil here, I'm sure the topsoil was gone, but I've been here since 2016, and I go through probably 3 or 4 piles of this mulch every year. I mulch wherever, and that really seems to do it. And then if I need a soil test, I'll take one and just add whatever. But I don't really get into that much. I plant. If they're not doing well, I take action. Some people are really into that process, but I am not, and I seem to have pretty good luck with it. So
it's just native soil and
mulch?
Yeah.
There's mulch, and then blueberries need acidity. And so across the street you can see the pine. It's a deciduous, and so I go and get their pine needles in the fall, bring them over and use them around my blueberries. So free.
Do you sell your produce and your?
I do not sell it. I give it away to the community. There's a lot of blessing. They call them blessing boxes in the neighborhood, different churches, and I put stuff there. They're gone immediately. And then, like I say, people who come and help me, I give them some to take. I give it to friends. I give it to my neighbors. So no, I don't sell it, but the day's coming when I may, because I'm going to have too much.
Are you a registered herbalist?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that worth doing?
Well, it is for me. I've studied with Foret. I can't remember her first name. I did a year-long class with her. Stephen Horne. I've done it with 3 or 4 people, and I have my, big certificates. And oh boy, you deserve it. If you get through it, you deserve it. So, yes, but pick someone who really is good.
My daughter is the herbalist, not me.
Yeah, yeah. So, there any other questions? Okay, so here, be mindful, please, of my irrigation. So between the rows, in years past, I have been able to grow okra and beans, all kinds of things, but the fruit trees are getting too big. So I'm going to have to find someplace else to grow veggies. But I did tomatoes last year here. These are pawpaws, and they do grow well if they're shaded. They like to be like at the end of the umbrella of the tree. So I have to wrap some of these because they're still young. But pawpaws are delicious, so I'm hoping to get more. And you can see I grow cucumbers and different things just in between, wherever I can find a place. So blackberries here. Everybody hates my honeysuckle, but it gives me privacy and it makes great jam. I think we won second place at the fair about 5 years ago with the honeysuckle jam. You can make a lot of food out of so many things, so there's more blackberries here. Be careful. We did that. I'm taking this bed out because I want to put in a little fire pit here. This bed is going to probably go, but I need to take out a lot of things here. This is the most important place in the garden. And why? Because it's where my compost piles are. And as you can see, I have bags of leaves that all my neighbors bring to me, throw them over the fence, whatever, drop them out in the front. They don't care, they just dump them. And I slash them with a knife so that the rain can get in, because there's nothing like rotten leaves. Woo, love it. So these are dead zinnias that I just trimmed out of the perennial garden a couple of days ago. They will eventually go in. These 2 bins are ready, and I'm going to be putting them in my raised beds. This one I'm still growing. If you walk by it, you'll see that it's layered. So I put in a little dirt, put in a little straw, put in a little compost, put in a little mulch, do a lot of green stuff from the house. It's got the green in it now. I water it, then I do some more layers, and then when topsoil is on sale, I go buy a whole bunch of bags of it in the back of my truck and drive home like this. And dump it out here, and that way when I need it, it's inexpensive and I can just throw it in my compost piles, or there's nothing like some topsoil. You can get it real cheap like at Atkins. So this will get chopped up easy, it's already dead, and throw it in later. So I'm gonna go this way. These are old roses. They only have 5 petals. They're medicinal. And the drought really was hard on them. So they're gonna get trimmed down a third in March. And I use the rose petals in my tea recipes. I make rose honey to die for. So they'll just get chopped. All the dead stuff will go out of them. Of course, you gotta have those long leather gloves because they'll get you. And then chop down just a third. Oh no! Oh no, maybe it's time to prune now. I see one's starting to bloom, so. This is a pawpaw. See the hickory tree? My parents planted this hickory tree probably 40 years ago. It was just a little stub, came from Eufaula, Oklahoma. It's grown all this time. See how this pawpaw is at the edge of the umbrella? That's where they like to be. A little bit of shade on them or they won't make it. This gives me, last year I got about 12 pawpaws, great big ones off of here. Great stuff. So here's a small one, small one. We'll come around this way. So, peach tree, cherry tree, blackberries against the fence. Those are the ones that I just give to whoever wants to pick them. And this is the perennial bed. I grow a lot of butterfly weed, a lot of zinnias, all different kinds of zinnias, just whatever, I just throw it in there. So now you see daffodils, soon you'll see cilantro, just thick. And there's a Mexican food truck down here and I just chop it and take it to them every day, they're so happy. So this changes, this is my calendula bed. This is very medicinal. They're about foot high, they're beautiful. Can't go wrong. This has a lot of, this is also perennial here. So we'll go through here. So I've been growing lettuce since, I guess, October. And I covered it with frost cloth, and then when we had that horrible 20 below, I have some old cotton quilts that my grandmother made that are falling apart. Put those on top of my quilt, got the snow off, and you can see they're doing great. So we'll go. So I have another apple plum that's dying, and I'm just going to let this little plum tree die. It has a disease on this limb, so I'm going to cut it off. But the reason why I'm going to leave the rest of it is because these dead trees in your yard are really important for your insects. They're huge, you know, it's like a habitat in itself. So I don't want to cut it down. You can see this big tree behind me is dead and it's going to be cut down, but it houses woodpeckers and squirrels and hawks and crows, and we're all friends. I know their name and they talk to me, so it's great. I have a ton of birds in this yard. If you weren't here, it would just be full of robins and cardinals, different kinds. So we'll go back this way. This is an Asian persimmon. Last year, I think I got 3 off of it. It's tiny, so. This is another apple. This apple tree gets worms on it every year, and I just come out with my big knife and cut the web and say, good luck, boys, and let the birds eat them. I don't spray, I don't do anything. I just let the animals take care of each other. So, and then over here, this is white yarrow, very medicinal, stops bleeding. Back in the old days when they had plagues, they said people who have yarrow will survive the plague. It's amazing medicine. I don't think my rosemary is going to make it. Sage is not going to make it. This bed is just growing some radishes that I've been growing since. This was a chamomile bed full of chamomile. Chicago hardy figs. Oh my gosh. I was hydrating those for months. So, are there any questions? Good. It is. It's an Asian pear. No, it's an Asian persimmon. It's not a native. It's Asian. They're kind of flat, but they're good. They're good. Whole Foods carries them sometimes. So, here's a patch of walking onions so that I always have some green onions. Got to plan ahead. This is an apricot. Hasn't been pruned yet. This is a pear here. And then this is my herb garden. Well, there's herbs all over the place, but this carries things like oregano. You can see the chives are coming up. Spring is here. It's got comfrey in it, lemon balm, motherwort. Every woman I know calls me and says, do you have any motherwort tincture? Oh my gosh, you know. You can take a dropper of motherwort tincture. Let's just say you have a car wreck. If you got motherwort in your pocket, you can take a dropper of that under your tongue and you'll just be chill. It's great stuff. So, I grow a lot of basil. I even have places back behind the fence, but this is just a hodgepodge of stuff that I grow. I've got columbine, and I'm going to take some of these smaller shrubs out and give them to people who want them for their yard, and then the rest of it, that opens me up to grow a few more herbs that I want to do, because I do make a lot of herbal remedies that are on the table. I try to make everything out of my yard. If I can't, then I order from Rose Mountain Herbs. So this is kind of my hideaway. This is where I sit every day for at least 15 minutes and watch the yard, because the yard talks to me, tells me what it needs. You know, I'm looking, watching, listening. The yard tells me if there's a woodpecker, if they're building a robin's nest, if there's a snake, if there's a rabbit. It talks to me. So I know, and I can look and see what chores I need to do. So in that 15-minute time, I've communed with my yard, and I've got my schedule now. I know what I need to do. The apple's got worms. You know, there's no water in the bird. You know, it gives you what you need, plus it gives you a time to just stop, which we all need to do. So this is mullein. Mullein is not native. A lot of people think it is. Huge medicine. I will not be able to walk through here. I'll have to come out that door and go around, because this will be huge and all just really tall. But it grows these yellow flowers that you can make an oil out of for earaches. Plus, this is wonderful for respiratory. I make a lot of medicine out of this. Then when the seeds come, I just shake them out everywhere and hope they come up again. So, and I do have a rain barrel. On the shed on that side, I have bat houses and hope to get a few more. So I try to do things naturally. So this is asters and Gerber daisies, which were given to me many years ago, and I've just taken them wherever I go and keep them alive. But so pretty much that's it. Any questions? I do not know, but I have always been, yeah, I just had my 76th birthday, and I was telling a friend, I think I'm going to have to slow down. And they said, I don't know when, so, but these are alums. I planted a couple bulbs here, and they are huge, you know, and the bulbs they're just gigantic. So, and the birds and the butterflies, I have so many monarchs in this yard that you can't walk through here without them landing on you. Just plant pollinators. That's what this is for. And they'll come, so. Huh?
What were the variety of roses? I heard you say
The variety of roses, I wish I could tell you their exact name, but I don't remember.
Okay.
They're the 5-petal.
Okay.
That's what you want to do, is the 5-petal, old roses.
Okay.
And mine are kind of a red, so a little bit pink, but mostly red. I have a Facebook page, and I used to post all the time when I was harvesting those and making honey, but people started getting mean, so I just kind of backed off. But I'm going to do that again. So.
What are you doing with the bats?
With the bats, I'm just leaving them alone, and when I see them, I say, eat mosquitoes.
Really?
Eat mosquitoes. That's what the bats do. They eat mosquitoes. That's why I want to get more. Yeah. So I try to do it naturally. The only thing I really use in the yard is horticultural vinegar, and that's to take out this stuff in my path, you know. So if you'll come through here, if you could just come this way. Oh, don't trip. So Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Does anybody else have a question? Well, thank you so much for coming.
All right, I'm Micah Anderson with Langston University as a horticulture educator for Extension. So as I shared with the other group, tomorrow I'm going to be speaking in Oklahoma City for Black History, because this is February, Black History Month. Tomorrow will be the last day. So they asked me, I've worked there for 12 years, had a lot of experiences, and so they asked me to come back. So one of the stories that I'm going to share tomorrow is that the Commissioner of Agriculture came into my office. And the Commissioner of Agriculture is appointed by the governor. He runs the Department of Ag there in Oklahoma City. And he came in there, he was a little nervous. He says, I would like for you to go to Clara Luper's house and check her lake out. I said, okay. And those of you who don't know who Clara Luper is, she was a civil rights activist. She has her name, a street named after her in Oklahoma City. So he didn't want any issues. So I strike out, I'm looking for this lake, because I'm from around Eufaula. And so I didn't find it. I go back, and this guy, he said, oh yeah, she was my teacher, I know where she lives. We get there, and it's just a neighborhood like this right here. And I'm like, how is it gonna be a lake here? And I said, how you doing, Miss Luper? And she said, oh, I'm great, the Department of Ag's here now. She showed me her tomatoes and all, and we walked through the house, and there was a little fish pond back there with a big old sign said Clara Luper Lake. And I said, you talking about this fish pond? She says, a lake has a name. Don't you see my name, Clara Luper Lake? And so you can do a lot in a little small backyard. I could see a lot more potential here than I did at that little lake that day. But it was an interesting story and a chance to get to meet her. But urban gardening is a thing. There's enough stuff growing here: blueberries, blackberries, peaches, just all kinds of herbs and stuff. She could qualify for getting grants now, because once you sell $1,000 worth of produce or $1,000 of herbs, then you're a farmer, regardless of where you're at, right here in the city. And so, as I shared with the other group, my grandmother, she was a herbalist. There was people that would get sick. She would go out in the pastures and pick stuff and find stuff and take it, and then go and stay with them for a while, and then most of them outlived her. But not only that, she also was a midwife. I was born in 1959, she delivered me. In 1960, they changed the laws in Oklahoma, but she still delivered some of the black kids in our neighborhood because they was too poor to go to the hospital. But that wasn't a thing. She never went to the hospital until the day she died. When she went to the hospital, she never came back out of there. But there is something to be said for herbs and being able to use them for healing and all sorts of things. And this lady knows a lot about that stuff. And it's neat because she's got the blueberries she got growing here. She's getting like the pine needles from the pine tree to make her soil acidic. So she's using neighborhood resources to help out there. So that's just kind of my little spiel. I don't have a whole long deal or anything. So we also had a small garden there in front of the Department of Ag that we did. We produced a lot of stuff. And sometimes if you don't have a lot of space, I grew sweet potatoes and I put a fence up and let the vines grow up the fence. And with sweet potatoes, they won't actually do like a cucumber. You have to go out there and weave them in there, but you can grow them up there, and then you can have one row here and then you can put another row next to it, because instead of growing all out like that, they're growing up. And then you can do cucumbers the same way. And then, so you can really concentrate on small areas to grow a lot of stuff, and then using your smaller type trees like these trees here that don't get as big, and they still produce fruit.
Tell you a story. I used to live next door to him.
Oh yeah, he stole my watermelons.
You want to get next to him? gotta have a, yep, and
He
just
planted
'cause
some
the mic-
watermelons out there, and so his wife was always watching me out there, so I ran over and stole a watermelon and ran home with it. And his wife called my wife. She says, Richard doesn't have to steal the watermelons, he can have one. I said, they taste a lot better when you steal them.
Well, you know that with the one thing about agriculture is that agriculture is the area where barriers are broke down. You know, it don't matter what color you is or what nationality is, we all got to eat. That's what my dad always. That's why my dad said he was a farmer. He says everybody got to eat, and so, you know, when we get away from agriculture, then we can separate it from different things. But everybody can come together. You planting stuff and eating different things. You learn how different things taste from different cultures. It's just a neat thing.